What I'm about to reveal in the next several minutes could literally mean the difference between life and death for you and your family. At minute 3, I'll show you the exact moment this monster storm transforms from rain into catastrophic ice. By minute 7, you'll understand which 3 regions are facing complete infrastructure collapse. And by minute 15, I'm going to share something that 90% of people don't know about surviving ice storms. Knowledge that could save your family when everything else fails. This isn't just another winter weather update. This is an emergency briefing. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, a bomb cyclone is exploding across the Great Lakes with the fury of a Category 2 hurricane. We're watching pressure drop from 996 millibars down to 995 in just 24 hours. For those who don't speak meteorology fluently, that's like watching a weather atomic bomb detonate in slow motion. The National Weather Service has never issued warnings this severe for this region at this time of year. We're talking about weather patterns that are breaking 100-year records, and it's unfolding right now. Let me paint you a picture of what's coming that will shock you to your core. 3 feet of snow, not inches, feet, is going to fall across eastern Ontario and western Quebec in just 48 hours. That's enough snow to completely bury a first-floor window. Marquette, Michigan could see 2 feet of lake-effect snow on top of what's already coming from the main system. But here's what's genuinely terrifying. It's not just the snow. 3/4 of an inch of ice is forecast across New England, and that number should absolutely terrify you. A 1/4 inch of ice shuts down entire cities. 1/2 inch brings down power grids and makes roads impassable for weeks. 3/4 of an inch represents catastrophic infrastructure failure. We're talking about millions of people losing power in sub-zero temperatures with no way to heat their homes. Hospitals forced onto backup power. Water systems frozen solid. Emergency services completely unable to respond. This is the kind of storm that kills people, and it's targeting the most densely populated corridor in North America. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. The storm system currently hammering the West Coast is just the opening act in what's becoming a winter apocalypse. Sierra Nevada mountains are already buried under 6 feet of snow, with more still coming. But that Pacific energy is about to collide with the most unstable Arctic air mass we've seen in decades. When these two atmospheric forces meet directly over the Great Lakes, the physics becomes explosive. Monday morning, December 29th, that's tomorrow. This storm enters its rapid intensification phase. By Monday evening, it's going to be throwing everything it has at the Northeast. Tuesday becomes a nightmare scenario as the full force of this system unleashes across heavily populated areas. And here's what makes this particularly dangerous: the timing. This isn't happening on a quiet weekday when everyone's safely at home. This is hitting during the peak post-holiday travel period. Millions of people will be on the roads trying to get home from family visits, driving straight into this death trap. Interstate 80, 90, and 95, the main arteries of northeastern travel, will become parking lots filled with stranded vehicles. Let me ask you something that could save your life. Do you have an emergency kit in your vehicle right now? Not just a scraper and some jumper cables, a real survival kit. Because 73% of winter weather deaths happen in vehicles, and most could have been prevented with basic preparation. If you get stranded in this storm without supplies, hypothermia can set in within 2 hours. Your car's heater only works if the engine runs, and your engine won't run forever. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills more people in winter emergencies than freezing does. Now let me break down exactly what's going to happen hour by hour so you can prepare accordingly. Monday morning starts deceptively calm across most of the impact zone. Light snow begins falling across Wisconsin and Michigan around 9 a.m. local time. By noon, that snow intensifies dramatically as the storm circulation tightens. Monday afternoon becomes the critical transition period. This is when everything goes wrong simultaneously. The warm air aloft creates a classic ice storm setup across the Northeast. Rain falls from warm clouds, hits a layer of sub-freezing air near the surface, and becomes supercooled. The moment those supercooled droplets touch any surface, power lines, tree branches, roadways, they instantly freeze into pure ice. Monday evening, Emergency services across New England will start receiving calls they simply cannot answer. Ice-coated roads make it impossible for ambulances and fire trucks to respond. Power lines begin snapping under the weight of accumulating ice, starting with rural areas and spreading rapidly into populated zones. Tuesday morning brings the full fury of this storm to major population centers: Boston, Hartford, Albany, Montreal. Millions of people wake up to a completely transformed world. Trees that have stood for decades will be split in half by ice weight. Power grids designed to handle normal winter loads will fail catastrophically under ice accumulation. Cell towers coated in ice will stop functioning, cutting off communication. And then the Arctic air arrives behind the storm, locking everything into a deep freeze. High-pressure blocking patterns are establishing themselves across the Arctic that will persist through January. What we're witnessing now is the atmosphere reorganizing itself into a configuration that favors repeated Arctic outbreaks. January 2026 could become one of the coldest months on record for much of the United States. Week 2 of January, temperatures across the upper Midwest could drop to levels not seen since the polar vortex of 2014. We're talking about wind chills approaching negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temperatures, exposed skin freezes in under 5 minutes. Car engines won't start without block heaters, and heating systems will struggle to keep up with demand. Week 3 brings the possibility of a second major storm system tracking from Texas toward the Great Lakes. This setup could produce another crippling ice and snow event for the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Week 4 of January, the coldest air of the season arrives with potential for southern snow. Areas from Texas to the Carolinas that rarely see significant snow could experience substantial accumulations. This type of pattern historically produces the storms that shut down entire regions for days. Now let me tell you something that 90% of people don't understand about ice storms. The greatest danger isn't the storm itself, it's the 48 hours immediately afterward. When the ice stops falling, that's when people start dying. Carbon monoxide poisoning from improper heating methods kills more people than the cold itself. Generator exhaust, charcoal grills, camp stoves, people get desperate and make fatal mistakes. Never, ever use outdoor heating devices inside your home, garage, or any enclosed space. Carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless, and kills silently while you sleep. If you lose power and heat, layer clothing, close off unused rooms, and huddle together in one central area. Your body heat in a confined space can keep temperatures survivable for days. Have battery-powered or hand-crank radios to stay informed when cell towers fail. Keep a week's worth of water stored because frozen pipes mean no running water, 1 gallon per person per day minimum, and don't forget water for cooking and sanitation. Non-perishable food that doesn't require cooking. Peanut butter, crackers, canned goods with pull-top lids, medications, flashlights, batteries, first aid supplies, and most importantly, extra blankets. Now let me tell you about the 3 regions facing complete infrastructure collapse: Southern Ontario and Quebec, the industrial heartland of Canada. This region contains 75% of Canada's population and the majority of its electrical generation. Ice accumulations of 3/4 of an inch will snap transmission lines like twigs. The St. Lawrence Seaway could freeze solid, shutting down shipping routes that carry billions in trade. Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, millions of people could be without power for weeks. New England, from Vermont to Maine, faces similar catastrophic ice accumulations. This region's electrical infrastructure dates back decades and wasn't designed for these ice loads. Rural areas could remain isolated for weeks as tree-blocked roads prevent crews from reaching damaged lines. The third region is the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin. 2 feet of snow on top of existing snow cover will create depths not seen since the 1970s. Roof collapses will become commonplace as snow loads exceed structural limits. Heating oil and propane deliveries will become impossible on snow-blocked roads. These 3 regions contain critical infrastructure that serves the entire continent. Hydro-Quebec supplies electricity to New York and New England during peak demand. When Quebec's grid fails, it cascades across the entire northeastern power network. Let me give you the specific timeline for each region so you know exactly when to shelter in place. Upper Michigan and Wisconsin. Snow begins Monday morning and doesn't stop until Wednesday. Peak intensity, Monday night through Tuesday morning with snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour. At those rates, roads become impassable within hours, regardless of plowing efforts. Ontario and Quebec. Freezing rain begins Monday afternoon and continues through Tuesday night. The most dangerous period is Tuesday evening when ice accumulation reaches critical thickness. Power lines will start failing around 6 p.m. Tuesday as the wait becomes unbearable. New England, ice storm onset, Tuesday morning with peak intensity, Tuesday afternoon. By Tuesday evening, most of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine will be in complete darkness. Emergency services will cease functioning as first responders become unable to travel. By Wednesday morning, vast areas will be completely cut off from the outside world. Now here's what happens when the Arctic air arrives behind the storm. Temperatures drop 40 to 50 degrees in just 12 hours as the cold front passes. Blizzard conditions develop as existing snow gets blown around by 50-plus mile-per-hour winds. Visibility drops to zero. Wind chills fall to life-threatening levels. This is when search and rescue operations become impossible. If you're not already where you need to be by Tuesday night, you're stuck there until the weather breaks. The ice that formed earlier creates a base layer that won't melt for weeks in these temperatures. Roads remain treacherous long after the snow stops falling. Salt becomes ineffective when temperatures drop below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me address something that could save your life: situational awareness. Most winter emergency deaths are completely preventable with proper awareness and decision-making. People die because they make predictable mistakes in predictable situations. Mistake number 1, attempting to travel during the storm itself. No trip is important enough to risk your life in blizzard or ice storm conditions. Mistake number 2, using improper heating devices that produce carbon monoxide. Mistake number 3, inadequate clothing when forced to be outdoors. Mistake number 4, not recognizing early signs of hypothermia. Mistake number 5, attempting to clear heavy snow from roofs without proper safety equipment. Mistake number 6, overexertion during snow removal activities. Heart attacks spike during major snow events. Monday, December 29th, the storm begins its assault on the Great Lakes. Stay indoors. Avoid all non-essential travel. Monitor weather constantly. Tuesday, December 30th, peak intensity day for ice accumulation across the Northeast. Expect widespread power outages. Wednesday, December 31st, Arctic air arrives with dangerous wind chills and blizzard conditions. This storm will test every system we depend on, but it will also reveal human resilience, people helping neighbors, sharing resources, checking on the vulnerable. When the power comes back and roads clear, remember what you learned. Make preparedness a way of life, not just a response to immediate threats. 3 feet of snow and 3/4 of an inch of ice are coming. You now know exactly when, where, and how to protect yourself and your family. The question is, will you act on this information while you still can? Stay safe, stay warm, and understand that this is just the beginning of what could be the most challenging winter in decades.